Welcome, Zdenka and Liam. Good morning, good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
Good. It's cold outside in Ukraine. -7 or something like that. And Liam, you're in South Africa, and Zdenka, you're in Australia right now.
Yes.
I'm in Prague, actually.
Oh, you're in Prague, right? Okay. So you're GMT +1, so you're 1 hour ahead of the UK right now, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking beautiful in Prague. Zdenka sends me photos of how Christmas looks there every day for the last month, and it's brilliant. It looks great.
So what are you both working on this week?
I am working on the Star of Africa screenplay. And yeah, that takes all my time.
This week, it's getting ready for Christmas. I'm excited. It's a lot of family time. It's a lot of food. It's getting fat for January, so we can start dieting again next year. So not really busy, to be honest. It's just a lot of family time.
So as a male actor, what's your body fat percentage aim?
Oh, I have no idea. I used to be a really fat kid, and then I managed to lose the weight puberty, I think like 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know. Since then, it's I don't know. It's probably like, I have no idea. I think it's 20%, 30%. I don't really know how that works. It might be 10%, 20. What's yours, Nikos?
I don't know. I'm in Ukraine and we like all our fried food and stuff. So probably about 12 or something like that.
12.
But I'm kind of skinny naturally anyway. So I used to be able to eat everything, but now I eat pizza and I'll feel it the next day, and belt's not really that. It's a bit tight.
Really?
Yeah. What do you think? As
a matter of fact, I had some cookies, Christmas cookies yesterday. My flatmate.
People used to call me in Scotland the Cookie Monster, cookies, because I always used to love eating all the Kit biscuits everywhere and stuff like that. It's just one of those strange nicknames that you get as a kid.
Cookie Monster.
What do you think of
Brilliant.
Tom Cruise? If he's offered a chocolate biscuit he just refuses it and he's like, I won't eat a Mars bar or something like that. It's just completely.
I think he would eat it. I worked with Neve Algar earlier this year on Raised by Wolves, and she just starred in a movie with Jason Statham. They did. It was a Guy Ritchie film. It was called Wrath of Man, and we were gymming together the one day, and she was telling me how angry she was at Jason Statham because he's in amazing shape, and I think he's like 50, 55 now. And she said she's so angry because he eats whatever he wants on set, and everybody else is like doing salads and vegan, and he just eats whatever he wants. She was so angry.
I don't know if I could.
So I assume, I don't
love
know.
My food.
Yeah, food's one of the 5 greatest joys of life.
Yeah. So Zdenka, you were saying that you're getting up at 3 a.m. I mean, I have heard of the 5 a.m. club, but I mean, 3 a.m. club is a bit eclectic to me. So can you just let me know what's going on there?
I think you just get used to it. I'm already waking up before the alarm.
So when you're getting up that early, is it you're getting up to work or you're getting up just to?
Oh no, because actually I do my push-ups and sit-ups, and then I do my maybe 10 hills. I run up the hills.
Wow.
And yeah, so about 40-50 minutes exercise up to an hour, and then I catch the bus to town, which takes some time. That you have to catch the bus and the metro and tram and get to work.
Wow. You still commute, and even in these Corona times.
Yeah, even if it's snowing and freezing, I still run and do things like that, because I think it's must. You need to keep fit.
Mm-hmm. So
3 a.m.
Your office, is that your office, or are you part of a company?
It's just an office building, and I pretty much sit in the kitchen.
Oh,
you
nice.
Can see it. It's pretty. It's very pretty, and it's kind of like I used to work always in the coffee shops. Mm-hmm. I never written any scripts. Like even at the film school, I even edited my films, everything in the coffee shops just next to the film school. and in a big, Fox Studios in Sydney, Australia. And I was so used to coffee shops. But then when the COVID came and everything was shut, so I had to find the office because I never can work at home.
Really? Why is that?
I have no idea. I just get too claustrophobic. I like to go home and yeah, I guess it also, you've got start time and cut off time. If you work at home, I know when I start to work at home, then you never know when to stop.
Mm-hmm. Well,
It's
I was up to 1 a.m. last night, so I don't know when to stop ever.
Yeah. So
I think there are distractions everywhere when you're at home. I mean, you can sit here and be like, in 10 minutes I can go watch TV or, do whatever you want. You can go make some coffee. You can lose a whole day that way.
That's another thing. There is a fridge, there is, things to do, like clothes to wash, and I don't know, whatever you can do at home.
And it's way easier to go sit and watch clothes than to sit and think of what the pilot line is going to be or what the log line is going to be. It's so much easier.
Yeah, I always like that routine that you get up, you do your exercise, and then you just have to dress up and go and do your work, and then come back home and you can relax.
Are you an exercise first person in the morning, Liam?
Not at all. No, not at all. I used to hate waking up early for school. I'm not a morning person. Even today was a struggle. I woke up at 6 a.m. today and I'm like, it's going to be a tough one. I'm also still fighting bronchitis. I've been taking antibiotics, so I'm pretty man down. So, but no, definitely not a first thing in the morning exercise kind of guy. I box when I can. I usually box 3 times a week, and then sometimes I'll hit the weights, but not often at all. Not often at all.
So what made you decide to get into acting, Liam?
For me, I can't really remember. I just remember that I was about 10 years old the first time that I had the idea to do it. Up till then, you're a kid, you want to do everything else. I wanted to play violin, and then I wanted to be a scientist, and I was building bombs when I was like 10 and, making gunpowder. And I was a naughty kid. And I was 10 years old and I said to my mom, I want to be an actor. And she said, cool. And she hooked me up with an agency. And then the first audition I went on was for like a phone service commercial. And I got the part, and I remember going on the first day and just having the best time of my life. And then just kind of deciding this is what I want to do. And since then, that's been the only option. I've never been one of those guys who has a plan B or, we'll have a safety net. Because as we said earlier, with acting that, there is no safety net. It's never going to be stable work until you get in the high ranks. But that's something I made peace with even when I was younger. And it's just something I've always wanted to do. And it was great because in school, everybody's always doubting you. Teachers are going, come on, mate, you live in South Africa. You're not going to be an actor. That doesn't happen. So it would be cool to end up being able to prove the people wrong. It's when you come from smaller places where the film industry isn't as big, people really do laugh at you. They really do laugh at you, as opposed to people who are born in LA and can be raised there. That's a massive advantage. You can audition for everything. You're going to get 5-6 auditions a week. I know that because I lived there for a year when I was 15. But here it's way less work. If something's not shooting in South Africa, there are very low odds you'll be able to audition for it. So you'll see amazing stuff coming through on Netflix that you might have been perfect for, or a friend might have been perfect for, but you don't get the opportunity to audition for it because it's not shot in South Africa. But sorry, I'm really diverting. Long story short, I wanted to do it since I was 10. It's been my passion, and it's all I wanted to do. That and directing and writing, hopefully, if Zdenka helps me. She's a really great mentor. But yes, that's that since 10 years old.
And how did you both meet?
How did we meet?
We didn't meet. We haven't met in real life yet. It's mostly just been over the phone. We got pulled into all the email threads of Star of Africa, and we just hit it off, and now we talk all the time.
So
what sort of advice are you giving Liam Zdenka?
I often send him scripts, and when he reads them, he's generally really positive about them, it's good for me. because I believe he's a very charming and very hardworking actor. So he's got potentials to become somebody quite famous one day. And when I asked him to write something, and he did, and I of course gave him feedback, which normally always hurts a little bit.
It really does.
But at the same time, he's got he's got potential as a writer as well.
Okay.
Like, his style is very unique. I believe mine is too. I've been told that it's a little bit more European, I think, rather than it's hard to write for America, because I guess I just got really deep roots, Czech roots, because I was born here and I pretty much grew up here. And then when I went to Australia, of course, you become kind of Australian, but it's a little bit strange way to be, because I don't consider myself Czech anymore. But at the same time, I know when I'm in Australia that I'm not quite, born Australian. So you always in between those two, push, pull, like where you belong. You kind of don't belong. And then again,
tell me about it.
And there's lots of work supposed to be a lot for America. But then again, Americans and American industry is very different from Czech and Australia, of course. So
well, thank you for
saying.
Thank you for saying all the wonderful things. I also just wanted to say I've gotten to be able to take in a look behind the curtain with all of Zdenka's scripts that are still in development. And they definitely are unique, but I really think they're really amazing. I want to be a part of every project. I'm begging her for roles very often because everything she writes is brilliant. And it definitely does have that European touch to it, but I often compare it to, I think I've told you this as well, Zdenka, I compare it to Tarantino's writing and sometimes Woody Allen, because the way that they kind of speak or the way that you write the dialogue is it's very poetic, as compared to American dialogue would be stuff like, I don't know, let's get a cheeseburger, bro. But then, the way Zdenka would write it is, shall we go indulge? Something like that. And it makes it so much more film-like, which I think is really cool. And I think very few people do that. So I really admire your scripts. I think they're really good. And they definitely are unique because it's poetic. It really is poetic. That's the word.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good.
Zdenka, we were also talking a little bit about. Sorry, you had something to say there. I was adjusting my desk here. So you're finding some challenges, in a sense, getting your work through the various American competitions or foreign Oscars. Can you let us know a little bit about what's happening there?
I did join a few of those, like Script Reader Pro and Stage 32. All those went through some competitions over the years. Final Draft and all those. I think with one script I won something, and then with just the current one, Mantra 6, I went to semifinals. But apart from that, I don't know. I don't know you get really that much out of it. It's always the best. Well, the best luck I had in film industry, I consider, was with my really first feature just right after film school. Because that was just strike of luck that I came across this incredible story. And I just gave it to the right producer at the right time when I was unknown writer director, and he's one of the best in the country, in Czech, but he just loved the story so much and the script So he just first thing at the meeting, he said, have you picked your actors? So I was like, wow. You know, I thought what he's gonna say for all this, because I had no idea what the script would be like. And he just first thing he said, have you picked your actors? And he was fine with me to direct it. But of course, then it took years, and the co-producers, they wanted him as opposed to me as a first-time feature director, because I directed lots of short films, of course, at the film school. I won actually with my short film Defect. That was again political thriller. That was shot entirely in Australia at the backlot of Fox Studios and in Sydney streets and in my flat in Sydney. But it actually meant to be set in Czechoslovakia. And Americans actually loved it, and Australians too. So it went very well on a festival circuit, and I won in Soho in New York. That was kind of pretty cool. Again, that was my graduation film. And so this one I was really lucky. So I think with any project, it's just that you know, the script may have potential, but you really need to find give it to the right person who just clicks with it. That's the way. And of course, then to get the money. But I know that he's so good producer that he did find the money after. It took 4 years, but still he did find them. And it ended up on the screen and went really well in the cinemas. So that's something.
Yeah, it's an amazing list of awards you've got. You know, like I think you've won something like award nominee and festival awards, 5 awards. So congratulations. Looking forward to seeing some of your stuff on the streaming or big screen one day.
It's actually Toman is on Netflix, but unfortunately, just I thought it's gonna be worthwhile, and people told me in Australia that they can't get it on Netflix in Australia, and I think in America can't. So that's real shame, because it's very unique. Like, I think it's very international feature. It went really well. We went to Palm Springs Film Festival with it, and they had to open actually more venues to screen it at different cinemas at the same time, because the cinema was packed. And we had people coming to us and just asking us when it's gonna be released in America. But then again, that's the problem with having Czech producer whose English was very poor or almost non-existent. So he didn't really push for wide release around the world, which again, it's not good, because of course I'm Australian as well. And so it would be for me really good if it was released in my home country there, and also in America, just gives your rating much higher, I think.
So 2018 Toman Czech Schlinder.
It's got, of course, English subtitles.
Yeah, I'm just checking it out on IMDb right now.
On IMDb?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is there. Yeah, I'm on IMDb.
I'll need to check it
It's
out.
a very good film. It's very good. You'll enjoy it. I
generally give people just the screener, because that's the way to get it. But yeah, it's a little bit frustrating that you can't get it on Netflix everywhere. I mean, you can in some countries, but not all.
Okay, so Liam, I see you studied the Meisner technique and method acting. I studied a little bit of Meisner technique. I found it quite intense, semi-traumatic experience. I just wondered if you could give me a little bit of your opinions of the differences between or what you prefer versus method versus Meisner technique, and what they are.
Yes, so everyone's got their preference on what they'd like to do. What may work for one actor would not work for another actor. There are many actors who don't have a method at all. They kind of just do their own thing, which is very respectable. But then the technique is a very good thing to fall back on. And so obviously Meisner was derived from method acting, because you had Lee Strasberg, and then you had Stanislavski, and then obviously Sanford Meisner came into the picture. And yeah, they're both a lot of fun. I did Meisner the first time because I was trying to find a technique for myself. And it was very intense because it's very much based on repetition. It's very much based on what you see. It's 100% reaction. I remember I did a long intensive for 3 months, and the first month, maybe even 2 months, was just repeating what each other says. And it's really interesting. It's quite weird. It's really weird exercises. But
yeah, tell me about it, man.
But you hit a breakthrough. You get to a point where you kind of go, okay, this makes sense. But it takes a very long time. For a month, you're kind of going, oh, what the fuck? We're just going to say stuff again today and just look at each other. And then eventually you get to that point where you're like, okay, cool, this makes sense now. But then I was lucky enough to do an intensive with the Lee Strasberg Theatre and Film Institute, which is actually where Angelina Jolie studied, and Chris Evans, who plays Captain America. And that's kind of what pulled my eye towards it. And I had a lot of fun doing that, because that's 100% sensory work. It was really interesting exercises. You would be told to take a lemon and in your own time, go sit with that lemon for an hour and experience the lemon with all your senses. So you're literally sitting outside by the sunset, you got your lemon, you chop it up and you're like rubbing it on your face, and you're holding it by your ears and you're licking it and rubbing it on your nose, and you're just trying to feel it, and you're just trying to really be present and experience the lemon. Because it comes down to being very present, because you need to get all your senses involved, so that whatever you're feeling and whatever emotion you can connect to one of the senses with a lemon, for example, if you're very sad and you play with a lemon and you do the exercise, and then later you're on set and now you need to do a very intense scene, you take a whiff of a lemon and you're good to go. It's okay. It's obviously not that. It's easier said than done, but the sensory work is extremely effective. That's method acting. I think the Lee Strasberg Theatre and Film Institute is, I could be wrong, but I think it's the only school that teaches method acting. There could be more, but as far as I know, that's the only one. And it was very interesting. It's great. It's interesting stuff you can really pull from, and it's very eye-opening to see how all of that works. Because I know my dad always messes with me, and he says, "Oh, all you have to do is read lines. Learn your lines. That's all you do." And I go, "No, buddy, that's not all I do." And yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. The contrast, you can definitely see the similarities between Meisner and method, but they are very different. And I think method is more effective for me than Meisner. But I don't know. I might crack Meisner again one day if it's necessary. Like I said, for each project, it might also be a bit different. But yeah, it's definitely good to have those techniques to fall back on, when you need it, because you're not going to be able to. If you're doing a very tough scene and you've got 40 takes and you've got to do 10 turnarounds, you kind of have to keep that same level of emotion through all of it. It's not just a one take and cool, you got it and you can relax. You got to get through it. You got to fight this battle. They call cuts and they say, cool, we're going to do it 39 more times. So it's great to have the technique to fall back on. It's almost like programming yourself so that you can just flip the switch and just keep going and doing it over and over.
Like Tom Cruise's Meisner, if I remember correctly. He trained
Tom
under
Cruise?
that same.
I have no idea.
Can't remember.
I know that Christoph Waltz. He's a Meisner actor. He was in Inglourious Bastards. Brilliant actor. He just did James Bond as well. I know he does Meisner. I don't know. Meisner is very notorious, and method is also very notorious. But people tend to stay away from method solely because you could kind of fall into a hole and take it too far.
Right.
It's easier getting into the emotional state you need to be in using method techniques. The harder part is getting out of it.
Really?
You program yourself and get into this character, you'll find it's very hard to step out of it. But I think it's like that with any character you play. If you play it for long enough, if you're a British actor and you I think Heath Ledger is a great example. If you're doing an American accent and you're playing the Joker, and then now you have to do an American movie, right after that, you shot The Dark Knight for 6 months. Now you're moving on to Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. That's what he did after that. And then there were scenes where you could find the Joker in him. Like it's a whole different movie. It's science fiction. He plays like this interesting thief in the film. It was his last movie, actually. And in that movie, you can see him do stuff that the Joker does. He goes like, he'll like say something and he'll go, and even when he talks, he'll do that. And he'll talk like the Joker. And that's the thing. You can get into it. It's just getting out of it is the hard part. But there is a way to do it. Half the training in method is getting out of it. So it's very important. It's a very important step.
And your actors, Zdenka, do you aim for method actors, or it doesn't really matter what style they use?
It doesn't matter to me as a director. Of course, at film school, we did lots of acting for the others, and just, we were asked to do that because you need to know how the actor feels. And since then, I've got great respect for actors and what they do, because it's just so bloody hard. I found it, it's incredible, to try suddenly to be somebody else than you are, completely to impersonate whatever character they give you. So I found it amazing. And if I had the ability to do it, I would love to be an actor. I think it's incredible job. It's really hard. I think it's really
very
hard.
vulnerable.
What did you say?
It's a very vulnerable and very bad for your ego from what the training that I did.
Yes, I like most actors I know, they're very insecure.
Mm-hmm.
But any creative is. I'm very insecure as writer director. You always, you never know what you're putting out there. And I think it's the same for the actors. And so you always need a need for recognition from the outside in any artistic work, I guess. So I don't really mind what method actor uses. I generally have clear idea what I want from the actor or actress, and I'm trying to get it out of them. But most of the time, I just leave them to do their thing. Then I step in if I can't get that reaction I want from them. So that's how generally I direct. But I think it's the best part of the filmmaking, to work with the actors. It's just so satisfying when they give you suddenly something, you didn't even dream of, and then you see it in dailies. And there's that something, some little gem, just a little look or line or something, what you didn't even expected. And it's there, and it's just perfect.
So that relationship is so important between the director and the actor. It's because that's really, that's all you really have. Nobody on set is going to tell you how to do it. As the actor, you have to do it and then look at the director, and they need to tell you if they're happy with it. And I think you learn way more on sets just working with the director than you do in acting class. I grew up on a lot of film sets, and most of the knowledge that I still pull from is still from just working with the directors and from what they want. And that's why I really want to work with Zdenka very badly. I'm still begging her for roles every day, just so that I could work with her. And she doesn't want to work with me, but that's okay. We'll get there.
He's kidding now,
I'm just joking.
What type of roles do you like to act in, Liam?
I definitely like when I can play different things every time. There was when I was still fat, I had a resting bitch face. I was really fat. I promise you I was.
I used to be fat as well, believe it or not, when I was 3 years old.
But I was too fat. And I blame it on my parents' divorce because, it was just every second weekend and Wednesdays McDonald's. But I was a fat kid, and I remember having a resting bitch face. And every audition I would get would be to play like the fat bully, the fat mean kid. And I got so good at being a fat mean kid. And then I got tired of it. And it was great. This last 2 years specifically, I've been able to step into other characters, and it's been so much fun. I went from playing a demon earlier this year. 1 week I was shooting to play this like demon character. He's in a cult and he's got this tattoo, and he's doing sacrifices, and it's really intense. And then a week later, I'm playing this innocent little nerd in high school, and he like is going to have his first kiss, and it's so much fun to switch between those two. It's so satisfying. Oh, sorry, not satisfying. So satisfying to be able to jump between those two. You know, anything different is just so much fun because it's really just playing all the time. It's you get to say and do stuff and be really weird and say, you know, things you can't say in normal places, and you get paid to do it, to just have fun basically. So it's fun. You can do anything. And that's why I love it so much. It's just as much your imagination can give you. So for me, anything. But with all the Spider-Man movies coming out, I would love to play a superhero. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Would you see yourself doing your own stunts, or you'd rather just not take too many risks to like?
I think I would definitely do my own stunts. Earlier this year, I got cast in a Netflix pilot, and I had to be able to ride a horse. And they said, you know, don't audition if you can't ride a horse. And I said, they're joking. Obviously, they're joking. And I auditioned and I got the part, and then I had to break the news to the director, and I said, I can't ride a horse. Zdenka, you know the story. And I told him I can't ride a horse. And he said, okay, well, we're going to recast you. And I said, whoa, give me a chance. I'm going to learn how to ride a horse. And he said, cool. In 8 days, I need you to gallop. I need to show him I can gallop in 8 days. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with horse riding, but galloping in 8 days, very difficult. I think galloping, that's as fast as the horse will go. That's sixth gear. So in 8 days, I tried to teach myself how to ride a horse. My dad's buddy's son is a very good horse rider. He's a professional jumper. And so I was being taught on these very expensive horses. They don't want to break them. And they all didn't like me. They had an attitude with me, and they threw me off every single day. And I was bruised, and my foot was sore, and everything was sore. And I could only get to a trot, but then we got the shot at the end of the day. So I think I would do my own stunts, but I will never put horse riding on my resume, because I do not want to get on horses again.
It's mostly your leg muscles that keep you on that horse. It's not, you're not holding on to anything.
Leg muscles, and I think you just have to be, you have to be brave. I was not brave enough for it. What scares me is that you can't really control the horse. It's, you can, that you can kick it on the right rib and it'll move and turn. But then if the horse is in a mood and it's not, it didn't have enough carrots, maybe that thing decides to do a backflip and then you're dead.
It sounds scary and almost like semi irresponsible for him to ask you to do that. Like, because like you look at what's the guy that Superman broke his neck? When you say falling off a horse, it's not like falling off a bike. It's a big deal because you're falling off it 2 or 3 meters high. So you could have ended your career by falling off the horse there, man. That's a risk.
You know what? If I went out dying while riding a horse while shooting a Netflix pilot, I'd be satisfied. They can put that on my gravestone. That's a good way to leave. It would look cool on the gravestone.
Next you up to learning how to fly a helicopter, how to fly a fighter plane, how to jump out of the plane and things like that. I hope so. That's gonna be the next step. Yes.
I think that'll be easier because it's, I think anything is easier when you can control it, when it's dead. It's not alive, it's technology, it's a motorcycle, it's a car, it's a plane. If you press this button, then the AC is going to turn on. If you go to second gear, you're going to speed up. On a horse, you have no idea what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I think
you're just along for the ride.
Anything like action that if I was doing acting that I'm afraid of is I'm kind of afraid of heights, but I'm particularly afraid of any climbing stuff because I can do bouldering. I'm actually okay, but when it comes to ropes, you're depending on the structure and integrity of this rope not failing. And even though it seems like it's a very rare thing that could happen, I don't know how Tom Cruise did that thing where he's off the Burj Khalifa and he's swinging around. But like you're not in control of that rope's structure. Is there a problem with that rope? And so like for me, hang on to a rope, you never know when it's going to snap. So, and that's just weird phobia I have of
100%. And especially in the film industry, there's so many stunts that happen where you have to do those. It's the same, you have to depend on those ropes. I remember I was working on a German movie when I was about 14 years old, and Alicia Vikander had just been in South Africa to shoot the new Tomb Raider movie she did. And one of the ADs was telling me a story about, there's a scene where she's looking over, she's standing on this bridge and she's looking over, and then her character is supposed to jump down. And Alicia wasn't told that this was not the shot for her to be jumping. She was not hooked up on a rope, anything like that. She thought she was going to jump. She thought it's good to go.
What?
So they did the scene. She looked down and she went for the jump, and the AD saw it, and the grips, everyone ran, they grabbed her, and she survived. But it's accidents like that that can happen so easily. And it was crazy. Yeah, Alicia Vikander almost didn't make it. They thank goodness they were vigilant and they caught her.
But she was wired up though.
Not for that part. So for that scene, they just wanted to get kind of from what I was told, they just wanted to get the look on her face, and the look, and she's looking down, and then
why would she jump with no harnesses on?
I think she thought it might have been tied up. I think she thought she was in the wiring, or I think she was just really in character.
What?
I have no idea what was going through her head, but I just know the story of what happened, and it's quite intense.
I remember at film school, we were asked to do some stunts, and that was, like you said, Nico, it was just they asked us to jump from the roof of the school, which was like maybe 2-3 stories high. And of course they had the mat, the bouncing mat at the bottom, but I still couldn't persuade myself to do it. I just thought, oh no, I can't do that.
But bouncing mat is not really the correct term. If you bounce, you're transferring the energy you basically go like this, but it's like shock absorbing mat. I mean, maybe bouncing.
Nikos studied science.
Yeah,
you can tell he studied science.
I do have a physics degree, believe it or not. So I think I'd be good at acting procedural stuff and being a geek, but I find that those kind of relationships and like stuff that's like, I mean, playing a demon would be kind of difficult for me as a Christian. But I mean, what's that actor that played Book of Eli? He did some mixed stuff as well. So,
but the stunt men and women, they are very respected. They are very impressive people. I've got a buddy in Canada. Her name's Dana, and she stunted for Sandra Bullock recently on that new Netflix movie called Unforgivable. And I have so much respect for her. She was I actually met her while doing the Meisner technique, and she had so many stories and how many bones she's broken and the amounts of concussions she's had and the things those people do. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. And they should be getting paid the most because they are risking their lives to make the actors look better. And they just, it's crazy. I've seen her bruises. She'd come and she'd show us the tricks that she had to do, and she'd tell us about how a day went. And it's just like a day on the job. She's like, cool, got a concussion today, back in work tomorrow. It's like, oh, that's awesome, Dana. Could never do that.
I wanted to do a stunt course in London, but they're quite expensive at the time, and I didn't have a spare like £1,000 to just sit and do stunt training. But I would actually like to try at some point. There's just the techniques that they use and the equipment they use. I think it'd be kind of fun, and maybe on my bucket list, I'll do that at some point. I do a bit of like boxing and kicking and stuff like that, so I think I could be okay at fighting scenes because I've been hitting bags, and I mean, you do boxing as well, so I think you would be fine for. Have you done any fighting scenes?
For the first time when I was playing that cult leader, for the first time I had a scene where I take this guy into. I don't know if I should give it away. Okay, I'm not going to say too much, but I got to basically punch a dude many times, and it was really amazing. And this guy that I was shooting with, his name was Ondrej Trojan. He's such a brilliant actor. It was the first thing he's ever worked on. And he was such a lad about it. So we did the first take where I'm supposed to punch him, and then he kind of falls down. And I pick him up and I knee him in the stomach. But then obviously we have a stunt coordinator, and he's telling us, okay, cool, put your arm out there, make it look like a big swing for camera. And when you knee him, don't actually knee him, just get close enough. And then we did the first take, and Ondrej whispers in my ear, and he goes, this time I really want you to knee me properly. And I said, what? And he said, no, I really want to feel it. I want to make it look good. And I was like, okay. So there we were, 10 takes. He's just getting kneed in the stomach whole time, probably has a bruised rib, but he was such a lad about it. So that was the first time that I got to do it, and it was so much fun. I really did enjoy it.
If you've done like I did Krav Maga, I've done a bit of boxing, karate. So like a lot of fight scenes to me just look completely fake because you'd never behave like that in a fight. Probably the most realistic fighting scene I think I've ever seen was Tom Cruise's one, The Last Samurai, where they're just they weren't even using fists; they're just swinging those swords around in such a way that you're thinking, "Well, that's dangerous," you know. Like so.
Oh, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. The show Vikings as well has extremely realistic fight scenes. I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't. No.
Extremely violent. I think you'd enjoy it. It's very good. It's Travis Fimmel, and the fight scenes in there are brutal, but they are very realistic. It's probably the closest that I've seen to real life. Not that I've seen many fights in my life, but that's what I'd imagine.
The closest stuff I've seen to real fight, well, actually, as a real fight, is Russian bare knuckle fights. You watch some of those things on YouTube, and it's like, yeah, you just completely
oh yeah, they don't
real
mess
life,
around.
you know, like Russian.
No, dangerous.
So what are you working on? Sorry, on you go.
With directing fighting, any fight scenes, I generally heavily rely then on stunt coordinators, because that's when you know what you want to look at it, but of course then you let them to do the job with the actors, because they know they stuff the best and they know how to make it look real, I think. So that's what I do when I direct fighting scene, because it's quite difficult. Like, I don't attempt to, direct them at that spot, because that's just really for the stunt coordinators to get the most out of it. It looks real.
Yeah, when I watch The Matrix now, sometimes I just laugh at some of the. I mean, I think Keanu Reeves, he trained quite hard for it, and that. But you just tell all the times it's just reactions. You're like, this is. It's just you don't move like that. You don't have time. You get hit. The shot goes right through you. And I think there's one fight scene that was done by what was the guy that played Dirty Dancing, and he died recently, but he played a fight scene where they actually punched each other properly. They were kind of like hobbling around after that one. I'll stick it in the show notes.
I know that in the new Blade, well, not the new Blade Runner, the most recent Blade Runner, Ryan Gosling and what's his name? He was in Star Wars, plays Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford. There's a scene where Harrison Ford punches Ryan Gosling, and apparently he really punched him by accident, and you can even see Ryan Gosling's reaction in the scene. And he's like, "Oh shit, he actually hit me." And I think those accidents must happen all the time.
Did they keep that take?
They did keep that take. They did.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. You should take a look. It's really funny.
So what's your next project, Zdenka? I know you're working on A Star of Africa. Is that your main focus at the moment? I know you're working probably with Michael Druberg on the script or helping them.
Yeah, The Star of Africa is definitely the number one project. At the moment, I'm just trying to polish the script. It's a big job because it needs to be really historically accurate, and that's a good challenge. I mean, it's a great story, but it's got lots of characters, and it's very complex story in a way, because it covers 4 years of somebody's life, but again, so different stages, how the character or how the real person, what he goes through, and meeting the other people. So it's like any historical personalities based on, when it's real people, you have to really make sure that you give them, what's the word? I'm looking for the word. Just the justice, justice to those people what they did go through. And those guys, Colin, of course, interviewed them, all of them, which is shame that I haven't met them when they were still alive, because now all of them are gone, long gone, which is frustrating not to know those people. But yeah, it's always, that's what I found. I concentrate mainly on actually features and TV series based on real personalities and real stories, because I think they're most amazing. But at the same time, I think they're hardest to write, and then to come up with something that it's really serves the, like it's got bold words, that it's got very cinematic feel to it, but at the same time keeps very clear vision of reality, or just, like be historically correct, but at the same time in a cinematic way, which is, I think it's so hard to combine those two in a way.
When I was interviewing Joe Petersburg, who was a World War II veteran, and it's hard to, like, we're just talking normally on the podcast, but like this guy was fighting, Germans and shooting them and killing them and his planes, and it's kind of hard to realize that what you're talking about is so profound in this conversation, to just the gravity of what they're talking about. And so that's, I mean, he's 94. There's not that many veterans around, and so yeah, it's a privilege. I want to try and interview some more of them just to capture more of that information. But yeah, I find history very interesting myself.
And so that's one project. Another one is Mantra 6, which is complex. It's based, again, partly on reality, but it's highly fictionalized. And it's a story of deep black program within actually Australian Secret Service. And it's set around 90s. So it's kind of like a modern Cold War. And then, of course, battles with drug lords and, all the underworld. Mm-hmm. So it's, again, quite complex story, but I was fortunate to come across the person who's been actually in those special service forces. And he's written 6-part books. And at the moment, I just adapted 2 first ones. And the first one, called Brimstone, that's closest to the production. We've got, I've written the script, so the script is ready. And now it's got with the director. They wanted Australian male director to direct it. And so that's pretty much where it is now. It's with him to do the final shooting script with the producers, and the producers looking currently for financing. So that's, so far we hoping for shooting sometime in like late spring next year, summer, which would be, that would be great. That something comes to screen again.
Cool. Well, I've got to rush off. I just wonder if you both would like to say something to the world.
Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Very on the spot, mate. That's great. That's great.
It's basic, but some people really need to hear that right now. So I'll put it out there.
Yeah.
Of course, like, I think we all wish that COVID is finally over. But
brutal for the creators, brutal for the industry right now.
It is. It's so hard for the industry. It just really, box office went from what it was before the COVID. It was like, say, 100%. Now it's like 35 maybe. It's just dropped so much.
To do a podcast just on that, it would be interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So I would like to do 2 more podcasts if you have time at some point. I want to talk about screenwriting, and you're both writing. I also want to know how Zdenka transitioned mid-career to this really high-level directing and writing. For me, I'm just like, how does somebody just do that? Yeah, well, I really appreciate you both coming on the show. I really hope you had a good time, and looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. Thank you for having us. It was a lot of fun. It was our first podcast, Zdenka. I think we did all right.
Did very good. Very proud of you guys.
Give me 5, Zdenka.
Give you 5.
Cheers all, and thanks everyone who's watching today. See you again later on the Nikos show.
Cheers, cheers.
I want to thank Colin Heaton from Heaton Lewis Books for supporting the show. Colin is an author, historian and consultant to the TV and film industry and has amazing wartime historical film production projects in process. I also want to thank Kevin and Sam Sorbo from Sorbo Studios for supporting the show. Sorbo Studios is producing some amazing family-friendly and faith-based movies with Kevin and Sam's decades-long experience in the industry. You can find out more at sorbostudios.com. Thanks for listening to the Nikos show. I trust you enjoyed its content and were transported on an adventure. If you are a world-class expert in your field or you know one, please get in touch. I'm also looking for long-term partners to sponsor the show. Please share with your friends if you like this episode, and please leave a rating and leave a review if you haven't done already. See you again soon. Nikos out. Bye-bye.